This is actually a perfect intro spot. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us your farm name? This is like, you can see the barn, the piggies, this is perfect.
Well, like, what do you want me to say? Hi, I'm Kirsten Border, and this is Mouse Creek Farm, and I raise Idaho pasture pigs.
You are perfect, you're ready for YouTube. That was perfect. One take, done. How'd you get into, I know you told us in the last interview, but we'll put it back in this one. How'd you get into Idaho pasture pigs?
Purely by accident. A friend of mine was raising Idaho pasture pigs, told me I had to have this pig. Actually, let's do this later.
Okay, sure.
Because we're going to do it in front of Bart. That's my first pig.
Oh, there we go. Let's do it. We'll save that,
When we get down there, we'll do it in front of Bart.
Perfect.
Oh. Stop partying up the shoe ball. How I got started in Idaho pasture pigs was purely by accident. A friend of mine was raising Idaho pasture pigs and thought I needed to have a pig, and I thought, yeah, bacon, love bacon, bacon's good. So I bought a piglet, and when I went to pick it up, she said, oh, by the way, we didn't castrate him because he's breed quality, and we think you should raise Idaho pasture pigs. So I brought him home, and I'm like, named him Bart the Bacon Eater, because he was going to be bacon. I called my uncle up to, hey, can you help me castrate a boar? Yeah, sure. So he came over, he said, oh man, he goes, it'd be a shame to castrate him. He's such a nice boar. I think you should raise Idaho pasture pigs. So now I'm raising Idaho pasture pigs.
That's called a bait and switch.
It was a bait and switch.
So here you have 4 paddocks. They're constantly divided by this fencing here?
I'll use the fencing in between, so I can make 4 into 7. So it's been used hard for the last 4 years.
So what we're looking at here, the 6/10 of an acre.
Is what's in this woven wire. This is 1/6 of an acre.
This is the first place you had pigs?
And so this has had pigs on for 4 years. Pretty much nonstop. I mean, I rotationally graze them. I put the fencing as the grass gets pushing, I'll divide these in half again. Depending on where I am in farrowing, depends on where I am in feeder pigs, but there's always pigs rotating through here for the last 4 years, and this is all the more damage there is in 4 years of pretty much constant pigs.
Constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. As far as like change of the pasture over time, what have you seen with what we see here? Was it always like this? You mentioned it was a yard.
It was a yard, so it was yard grasses. So it was your Kentucky bluegrass, whatever the yard grasses were. So what has come in now has been the clovers and the orchard grass. And as you can see, there's a lot of clover. So my frost seeding worked really well. I was really happy with that, because you never know when you're just spreading seed, is it going to work, or are they just going to rip it all out and you're not going to have it.
And the bare patches, when you leave, what happens? What do you notice with the bare?
They should fill in.
With what usually comes back?
Grass and clover. It depends on what was there.
Now that's interesting to me. What we had last year, when I ran ours up in the field, our bare patches came back a lot of weeds in the bare patches.
No, I'm not getting, not anymore.
So what?
Initially, thistle.
Ah, okay.
But then it turns out they like thistle, so they ate it.
Ah.
A dandelion, thistle, that type of weeds, yeah. Initially, that's what it came back as. But so, now they've pretty much decimated that type of weed. You don't see a lot of dandelion or thistle in here. Now thistle hasn't pushed yet, but you won't see too much in here.
So they, over time, eliminated, the weeds might have come back in the bare spots. They came and took care, they isolated them, rooted them up, and now, I mean, I just said that a few minutes ago, like you look out here, you don't see a single dandelion. Not that I don't mind a dandelion, I'm a homesteader.
Yeah, I like dandelion. Yeah. It's like, that's what, I'm like, darn, my dandelion patch is gone. I gotta look somewhere else for dandelion.
It's just a nice green pasture.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you find happens in the like dust bath areas?
Well, they'll keep that a dust bath.
So is that something that you just, when you're pasturing pigs, you say, you know what, I'm going to have some of those?
Yes.
And that's just a given?
Yep, it's just a given. If I could set my place up ideally, I'd do a wagon wheel approach, feeding, wallow, water, housing in the center, and then jump off to the different pastures.
Yeah.
And you would not get this, I think, because I haven't tried it yet, in every pasture. You don't need a ton of acres to raise a pig. I have 6 sows, 2 boars, so I'm farrowing twice a year. So this 1/6 of an acre I use as my nursery.
Wow.
And my feeder pigs. Then the breeding stock are out behind us. And that's kind of overkill. It's more than they need, but it's what it is right now. So someone that just wants to raise 2 feeder pigs, 1/2 an acre is more than enough. Just divide it up and rotate them around and then clip your grass. You don't want your grass real tall. You don't really want it over 10 to 12 inches at all. 6 to 8. Put them on at 6 to 8, off at 3. Move to the next field.
And do you suggest the setup here where you have like permanent paddocks and then you can adjust the fencing as you go?
I like to lock them down. You know, that even if they get through what I have as my division fences, basically because that's what I had on the farm. It's horse tape, and I had horses, so I used it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was already here.
It seems like a good fit for pigs because it's real visible, right? Like
right.
big, fat
I like
tape.
it. It's very visible, but a little feeder pig will go right under it.
Okay.
So that's why I like the hard wire with an electric hot wire at the bottom, that even if they get through these division fences, they're still in.
So you really suggest the perimeter, a hard wire. You have the woven wire with the graduated bottom, right, for the piglets, because they are real small piglets. And then also a strip of hot wire down at the bottom to prevent the rooting.
That's what I like for feeder pigs or for piglets, because they will run forward. If they're scared, they're running forward. So if they can get under a fence, even though they're getting shocked, they're running forward. Once they're electric trained, like once my feeder pigs are half grown, I could then put them out on some of these other fences because they're electric trained, they know it hurts, and they know where home is. But especially when you're bringing a new animal home from my homestead to yours, they don't know where home is. So if they get out, you've got a pig rodeo. So, my advice to anybody getting piglets, feeder pigs, even breeder piglets, is lock them down. 4 pieces of hog panel with T-posts and a little house, water, food, and line that with electric. Lock them down till they know who you are, they know you're bringing their feed, and then you can introduce them to a bigger area.
Then at that point, you can train them. Well, actually, one of the things we do, and it sounds like this is the same thing here, you train them within a hard perimeter.
Right.
So when they, like you said, when they get shocked and they run forward, they run into that fence.
And bounce back.
Right. After that, we can see over in the other paddocks where your breeding stock is, you're okay. You're more comfortable with not having the hard perimeter.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I had all this tape because of the horses, and I had cattle. So I reused it, but I really do like it because it is very visible.
Yeah.
Do you need it? No. A lot of people use 2-strand wire electric, and they do just fine. And it's a lot cheaper, but I had it.
Yeah.
So I used it.
It's nice. I like it. What do you need for having a pig outside?
Shelter. However you want to build your shelter. These are porta huts. I think they're like $200 each. I actually bought these used and rebuilt them. I have 2 houses made out of fiberglass truck caps that I repurposed. I have 1 house out of an old porch roof that I repurposed. And there's designs for A-frames online to build A-frames. So you don't have to spend a ton of money on housing. Just make sure it's dry, high and dry.
If you were going to try to build one thing that you could house and have them have their litters in, what would you pick?
A-frame.
A-frame?
That's a beat up old A-frame, but it was a porch roof, so
yeah.
it worked.
Still going.
Still going.
One of the hardest things, one of the biggest challenges we found with pigs is water. What do you do for water, regular season, and then what do you do in the winter?
So winter time, well, this is regular season and winter. What I tried this year is that's a 275 gallon IBC tote that I filled from the hose from the barn, and it held 2 weeks worth of water in the winter time. I wrapped it in double bubble, insulated it with cardboard, so it's not pretty, but it's there. And then I ran 30 feet of gutter cable to the metal pallet that's underneath these IBC totes and put it on a thermostat that it came on at like 38 degrees.
Gutter cable, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And it kept this whole IBC tote completely ice-free all winter long.
No way.
30 feet of gutter cable.
And not a whole lot of electricity for that?
My electric usage was about the same, but I also had more heaters in the barn this winter.
Wow, no way.
So
pretty efficient.
It seemed to be, but you know, I hate frozen water, so I'll pay the electric bill.
Exactly.
So I put an extension on the valve that's in these. I just went to a hardware store, and this is some kind of rubber, or I don't know what it's for. I just walk up and down the aisles till I find something that I think will work. And then I can, that's how it was all winter long. The coldest night of the year we had, it was 19 degrees, and the plug came unplugged for this heater. And I came out in the morning and the plug's unplugged, and I thought, oh man. And it was still ice-free.
No way.
Yeah. I don't think I would go a week doing that, but I made it over a 19-degree night by inadvertently pulling the plug, and we were still okay in the morning. It's like...
This little trough here, they just break it up with their nose?
The ice?
The little trough catch here.
The little trough catch here.
This guy here, or do they just drink it and it's got, like that doesn't ever freeze on you?
Because I had 5 animals in here,
yeah,
I just filled it every day, and they were fine. Now, with just the 2, yeah, it'd probably be more problematic, but with the 5 pigs, and it's out of the wind, my wind comes this way, that's one of the reasons it's set up like this. It really helped. And then I throw a disinfection tablet in. It's a chlorine dioxide tablet, so it keeps the water fresh.
This looks like the feeders that we used to use for our, big pink pigs. Right. What do we got here? What's the setup here?
It's a 1960s pig pig feeder. Came out of an old barn. I bought it for $40, and then I took out the dividers and extended it because these pigs have such a big head. So I made the feeder bigger at the bottom. So it used to have 6 compartments for the feeder pigs. I made it to 3, and then I put a roof on it and I tilled it up. Fill it from behind. But I will only put a day's worth of feed in here. But now if I'm going away for the weekend, they'll get a weekend's worth of feed, and then I go away for the weekend. I actually fill it from the back side, so I don't have to come in here and fight with very hungry feeder pigs. So I can fill it from the other side, but yeah, the roof just tilts up that I can fill it.
Yeah, this is it's set up for like you're thinking ahead of the steps, right? Every day you got to come feed them.
Right.
Every day you got to make sure they have water, and to have that access where you can go in and do all that without them messing with you and everything.
Yeah, I used to have a 55-gallon barrel here, and the nipples froze all winter long, and then I'm going for the hair dryer or whatever. This worked great. 275 gallons. Like I said, it would last I filled it every Saturday because I was that was my day to do work, but literally every Saturday I put maybe a foot of water in it.
Oh,
but I just kept it full.
Yeah.
I mean, a full tank is not going to freeze as fast as an empty one.
Yeah.
So I just kept it full, and then with the Reliant tablets, which is a chlorine dioxide tablet, one tablet treats 128 gallons of water.
That's great.
So every time I filled it, I just chucked another one in.
When you feed them, are you hauling a bag on your shoulder from the barn?
Bucket, just what they need. There's.
Oh, right, because they're not eating as much, and like
right.
you talked about,
it would only be if I was going away for a couple of days, which I'm a farmer, that doesn't happen.
It's a pipe dream. But
Pigs are omnivores, so they need grain, but they'll eat grass. A young piglet's gut isn't quite mature enough to digest the grass effectively until the gut matures.
Got it.
So when I started these feeder pigs in the wintertime, I did not start them with hay. They just got the grain. And then I slowly added grain in to get the microflora in the gut to switch over to digesting hay.
We talked about this in our interview last time, but for the people who maybe haven't seen that video, your background is working with animal feed, right?
You're livestock. I mean, my degree's in animal production, and
right.
I work in turkeys.
Right. Now it's turkeys.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is, there will be people who say, like, oh, the people who don't believe in pasturing pigs at all. You work with animal feed. You're not just going off of something you heard on the internet somewhere. This is what you do professionally.
Right.
Yeah. What age and what kind of rate do you start transitioning your piglets to getting some forage?
At weaning, they're still on the regular grain feed, and they're getting hay. Like, there's a hay rack in that shelter behind us.
Yeah.
So when I start seeing they're chewing on the hay, they're really kind of making use of it. I just start putting it in at 5%.
Okay.
Then I'll go to 10. And I wanted to go to 15.
Yeah.
But they just dug it out.
Yeah,
so I stopped at 12. This is my bank barn's 200 years old, so I work with what I have.
Yeah.
Pick your boots up. It's not really that great anymore. Okay.
What's this for?
It's a disinfect because you're coming from your farm to mine.
Remember I told you to wear boots?
Yep.
That's why.
Want me to spray them?
Sure.
So my pigs are getting the custom mix that the registry recommends,
Yeah.
which is on the website, or should be on the website. So that's in the freezers. I store it in the freezers. It's a little bit more protected from temperature change, so it lasts a little longer. So it's a high protein, high mineral diet, since these pigs eat about half of what a commercial pig eats. The pigs have done excellent on it. Yeah. Once I switched to this diet, I had better litters.
What? How much do you give like a full-grown boar per day? What would you
Right
give him?
now?
Yeah.
Summertime,
Just one can.
one can.
Thank goodness.
And then pasture.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, it's more depending on the weather. And then that hay rack you saw in Bart's,
Right.
they get hay then.
Wow.
So there's these were born Tuesday.
Tell me about the farrowing. What do you have to do for farrowing? Obviously, I mean.
Well, normally I have them in a small pen to farrow, but she decided different. She moved over there.
Coming from a world where, the big pink pigs you always saw, they had to put in some kind of farrowing crate or something. These guys do pretty well, just like this.
She farrowed right there in the bottom of the bank barn. Now she did lay on one, and you can have that. That's one of the reasons they went to a farrowing crate, is because of crushing problems. The A-frame, a lot of people will farrow in an A-frame, and that design of that A-frame allows the piglets to get to the outside, so the mom can't lay on them. But I have a 200-year-old bank barn, so that's what I'm using. And she did well. She lost one, so I can't complain.
We're taking a pig home today, and if you are interested in a pig from Mouse Creek Farm, where do they get a hold of you?
Facebook.
We'll put a link in the video, Facebook link to Mouse Creek Farm. This has been awesome. If you want to learn more about how to prepare piglets to thrive off of pasture.
And the feeder pig feed in the wintertime, I put ground hay in.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of trying to mimic grazing, and I got up to 12%.
Learn more about how Kirsten waters animals out on the pasture.
There's a bathtub stock tank from the pond overflow. They can go down there and drink. There's actually...
And enjoy the second entire half of this interview. This was actually only half of our field trip with Kirsten. You can see the whole unedited version of this in the Homesteady Pioneer library. Click here to become a Homesteady Pioneer. You'll get access to this entire full-length field trip, 40 minutes long, plus our entire library of extended versions, master classes in homesteading, and you can often join us live for our interviews. You'll get instant access to all of that. Click here to become a Pioneer.